of agroecology to move to scale. So that's really the context of this new phase of DeSIRA, or DeSIRA phase 2, if we can call it like that. And our attention is really to see how we can promote investments that will help to understand and make better use of ecological processes in the agricultural systems that are really part of the DNA of an agroecological vision. To work on innovations, and there to have a broad understanding of innovations. That has been the case with DeSIRA already, looking at technologies, capacities, institutional arrangements, compatible with agroecological approaches. Also to see how we can stimulate and certainly support innovations at scale, different forms of scaling. You know that better than I do. To see how we can work differently and better, certainly, with non-research organizations, those that are really at the core of the scaling of innovation. So private sector operators, civil society organizations, of course, farmers organizations, and really to make them work differently together so that we can have a better impact in terms and change in terms of innovation of agroecological approaches. So in terms of key ingredients for that, clearly we see the need to produce knowledge for action. That's what it is about, and making the best of local and scientific knowledge in the continent and outside of the continent. Clearly to work on new technologies and practices to make use of ecological processes even more, to work on capacities to innovate. It's not so new, but we know it's essential to continue to invest in that dimensions. Certainly to look at the best arrangements for governance of the actions, and as I said and insisted upon, how we can contribute to make national, regional, continental policies much more conducive for agroecological transformation. So this new phase of DeSIRA is indeed made of two different components that you may have heard of. So there is one component that we indeed call DeSIRA Plus, that is really putting the emphasis on how we can, with our cooperation, with our funding, but not alone, with other EU member states, with international organizations ready to engage with us on this agenda, how we can support the scaling of innovations. Okay, so that's what we capture with DeSIRA Plus. And there is another component of this new phase of DeSIRA that is talking about what we have been calling regional multi-actor research network in agroecology in sub-Saharan Africa. And my presentation will go through these two distinct, but in fact very complementary approaches. And they are complementary because we will certainly see in both components topics that will be common and shared. There are a number of issues and topics that we would like to address with our initiative and with our support. Of course, would say resources will be certainly a clear limitation in how far we can go, and also capacities of actors to address all these issues. But I would like to flag at least a number of them with the understanding that they will be addressed certainly in different ways, at different level, in different scales, in the different part of the African continent. There is one element, one topic that is of strong interest to us, is the dimension of agrobiodiversity, in situ agrobiodiversity, attention to neglected and underutilized species crops. It's not new. We have been working on that through DeSIRA, and the role of farmers managed seed systems. So there is one block around, I would say, agrobiodiversity and seed systems. There is another block that we have a very strong interest in, is the agenda and disease management. Again, areas where we have been working in the past and where we think that there is much potential in the continent to come with a very strong agenda. The dimension of soil health and sustainable soil fertility management is also important for us. It's also how we can contribute to the African agenda on this and enrich it when possible. The topic of mechanization, we are convinced that we need to find ways to help actors to have the adapted mechanizations for them to move to another scale in terms of agroecological transition. We know the agenda around labor intensity, that's something, and labor penability as well. So we need to reflect and move in terms of new tools and new mechanization for farmers and small-scale farmers in particular. The agenda around legumes and alternative proteins is important. It's one key element, in particular legumes, of the agroecological agenda, as we know. But there are two other elements that are very strong in our reflection. And I think it speaks also to some discussion that I just heard, and also a slide that I saw on LinkedIn from Fergus on the importance to value chains and how we can work through these actions on value chains, but being consistent with agroecology. So we need to have a narrative, and more than a narrative, concrete activities and programs that can help to show that we aligned the presentation on the project was quite explicit on that. So you see that we have there quite a number of topics that, as I said, will feature in different ways in DeSIRA Plus and in the Regional Multi-Actor Research Network component of the new phase of DeSIRA. So coming back more in details, if I may, not too much for today, around DeSIRA Plus itself. So there, as key words for the specific objectives of this initiative, we have the topics, not the topics, but the words of co-creation and adoption, services, the aspect of capacity,